Do you think one's happiness stems from their successes?
Honestly, I think it depends on the person. Like, yes, I think a lot of people could be happy when they're successful in the things that they want to be successful in. But there's some people that don't need the pride of success that can live a simple life and not like there's people that are happy that live in a van, don't work, travel the world, travel the country, shower at the gym, and they're happy because they're doing what they like. It doesn't necessarily mean they're successful or they have many successes, but I think happiness comes more from following your heart. And because, like, I mean, they say money doesn't buy happiness, and it's true because once you have all the money in the world, I feel like you don't have anything to strive for anymore and you get bored, and that
Yeah.
could potentially make you sadder than you were.
So you would say that people can be happy without success being present in their life?
Yeah, certain people, not everyone, but definitely certain people can.
So you definitely think it depends on, you know,
Yeah.
that person's values and like what they, you know, they stand for.
Yeah.
So I think that
I feel like everyone has a different definition of happiness. Like happiness is different for everyone. For one person, it's making $1 million and being successful. For the next person, it could be just having a stable job and being able to spend time with your family.
I think that also leads into something that we talked about last podcast was the intrinsic and extrinsic values.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if someone's going to solely live for the extrinsic values in life, then they obviously want to have more success.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to feel like they mean or have any meaning or have any, you know, will to live or have any willpower to do anything.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that also leads into a topic that I know you wanted to talk about, which is people pleasing. And I think an extrinsic value can simply be wanting to please everybody.
Yeah, because you get the good feelings from people saying, "Oh wow, like thank you," and the pride of helping the person. I feel like for people pleasers at least is it's almost like not even the pride of it. It's more so like you're scared to say no. But you also, I feel like most of the time gain something internally, but I feel like that would be more intrinsic than extrinsic. Like you do it for the pride of helping that person.
Yeah. So you're saying that it could be two different people. One person does it because they solely like helping people out.
Yeah.
But then the other side, the people pleasers, would be that they think they need to please everybody in order to be happy.
Yeah, because I mean, there's a fine line between that too. Because I mean, your people pleasers, they can't say no. Like I'm a people pleaser. I won't lie. It is very hard. If anyone asks me for anything, if I can do it, I will usually do it if I have the means to, because I don't like the thought of telling someone no and them being mad at me or them hating me over it. And I don't know. I feel there is a very fine line there.
I think that leads me into like another question that honestly I heard probably last week or so, and it hit me hard, and it's, does the world love you for who you are or what you do? So to preface that question, it's not like you're doing like for the what you do part, it's not like your job or, you know, charity, like you're going to go do something for charity. It's you think that whatever your action is compared to somebody else, if they're going to judge me for it, I'd rather do the opposite of what I think is right so that they like me. So I do things solely so people
Like you.
So going back to the question, does the world love you for who you actually are, who you truly are? Where like if you were unconditionally yourself, someone asked you a question, you gave your true answer, or do they love you because you put on this persona that you're somebody else?
That depends on the day for me, honestly. Like, yes, I feel like a lot of people could like me just for who I am. Because I don't think I'm a bad person or anything. And I do genuinely enjoy helping people. Like, I that's part of the reason I don't like saying no, because I do enjoy the pride in saying, hey, yeah, I did this for you. Like, I enjoyed it. I wanted to help. But at the same time, there are times where I put up the facade and I'm just doing things to look good, or because I don't want to say no and I'm scared of what the reaction will be if I do say no. So I definitely think there's scenarios where I feed into both.
I think that question is very, very interesting because
It's very open-ended.
yeah, because it really does depend on who you are, or who you are just in that simply like that single
realm
situation.
Yeah.
But I do think working towards, especially myself, I think I want to work towards I want people to love me for who I am rather than the persona I put on. Because, for example, let's just say you go out with 3 different people, friends, 3 different nights, and you don't want to be judged on your opinion. So let's say they bring up some sort of politics and you answer a certain way that agrees with them to make them, oh, cool, like this guy actually agrees with me. But let's say the second night you go out with someone that says the exact opposite, but you also want to please them.
So you also agree with them.
Yes. And then once you go, let's say you happen to go out with all these people at the same time, you have different pieces of the puzzle of yourself in each different person. Each different person thinks you are somebody else because of the persona that you're putting on.
Yeah. I mean, you have a different mask for everyone, I feel like. There's very few people that show their true selves and nothing but their true selves 100% of the time. I feel like everyone has their masks that they put on depending on where they are, who they're around. And some people may know more about you than others, and some people may have seen some of those masks taken off, but I feel like nobody will ever really 100% know the true you.
I agree because, and I also think that it depends on who you're talking to. Because obviously, like, your family and your, girlfriend, whatever, is going to know you a lot more than some random person off the street.
Yeah.
But I do think they know when you put on, like, let's say a different persona, you're doing it for maybe a specific reason.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay at some points, but I think it's trying to really reel in who you actually are and trying to be that person all the time.
Yeah.
It's kind of like saying something on like a podcast, and then let's say you say something first podcast. Obviously, like, situations can change and you can change your opinion on certain things, but trying to stick to if something you strongly stand by, like your values, and you say it in the first podcast, but then 20 episodes later, it's something that really shouldn't change that much. You completely flip
the script. Yeah.
And you're like, wait, on the first episode or back then you agreed about this, but now you're saying that you're contradicting yourself.
Yeah.
So I think that's something where I want to work towards, is trying to be
your true
self mostly all the time. Obviously, there is times where I think you should change who you are and, like, act different towards some people in some situations.
Yeah. Because, I mean, a lot, like, at least for me, I find myself in those situations a lot when I'm not really, like, I put up walls and I put up the facades when I'm not really comfortable around, or I don't know the people that I'm around.
Yeah.
With, like, I hate meeting new people. It's one of the hardest things in the world for me because I don't know how they're going to act, and I don't know how they're going to react to how I act. So the first time meeting someone, I'm usually, like, pretty much silent the entire time unless I'm spoken to, just so that I can get a feel of who they are and how they move and where their head's at, so that I know how to act around them, which is, I feel like, on that putting up the mask side.
That's interesting because I feel like if you really want to get to know someone, like, let's say you're meeting somebody new, I feel like obviously it probably would be better to be yourself around them, because then you can see how they react. It actually reminds me of something that I just read. It was, let's say you wanted to, your sole goal was to make friends, and you did it in 2 specific ways. You did one way was truly just trying to learn about the other person, and then the other way was trying to make the other person like you.
Yeah.
And in this book that I was reading, it said that you would make more friends in 2 months by solely learning about somebody else than you would be if you were trying to make somebody like you, and vice versa.
I feel like that's part of the reason that I don't really have problems with a lot of people and so many people get along with me very well is because I do not like talking about myself. I despise it. If someone asks how I'm doing, what I've been up to, it's just I give them a quick one-word answer like, yeah, I'm good, been working, not much else. And that's all they get out of me. But I will let someone sit and talk to me about themselves, which 99% of this people on the planet, 99% of the people on this planet want to talk about themselves and nothing else. They don't want to talk about you. They want to talk about me. And I let people do that and I don't talk about myself. And I feel like I get along with a lot of people very well because of that. Yeah. Because they're like, oh, this guy, he really wants to go get to know me. He wants to learn about me. He's not sitting here talking about himself. He's letting me talk about myself. That doesn't happen often because everyone else wants to talk about themselves. And part of that is just I stay silent to see the type of person you are and see what you're up to, see your intentions. And I feel like that's where a lot of that comes from. Like, yeah, I don't like talking about myself, but even if I did, I think I'd still let you talk about yourself just to see the type of person you are.
So how do you think making new friends and being yourself within certain situations plays along with the role of becoming happy, like truly happy?
I mean, I feel like you can't be truly happy unless you have real, genuine people that love you around you. Because you can have all the money in the world, but if you're alone, you're still going to be lonely. If you don't have a real, true group of people that could pick you up when you're down and are around you through thick and thin, that's going to weigh down on you eventually. No matter how much money you have, like, I almost feel like money can ruin things in that aspect. Because once you're fucking filthy rich, you don't know who's around you for your money and who's genuinely there because they want to be there with you.
Yeah. That makes me think, because I stand on the fact that if I won the lottery, however many, let's say 700 mil after tax, right? Yeah. I truly think that life would be boring because I find a lot of my happiness from
the grind,
trying to reach new levels of wealth, either financially or knowledge.
Yeah. And I love learning about money. And if I had all the fucking money in the world, I don't know what I'd do.
And it's
I'd reinvest it.
Yeah. It's like, how do you think you would find and reimagine the enjoyment that stems from life when you have everything? Like, how would you think you would go about it?
I don't there's only so much you can do. You can only spend so much money in a day. Like, even if you're flying around the world, like you go to a different country every week, you spend a week in the Swiss Alps and then you fly home for 2 days and then you fly out to Berlin and then you go home for a few days and then you go to fucking Malta or Italy and then you go to the Bahamas. You're going to get bored of traveling. And once you've been everywhere, it's like, what do I do now? Do I go buy a jet ski in a lake? That's like, yeah, I feel like if you have that much money, like, yeah, sitting on $3 or $4 million, yeah, I'd be fucking happy. I don't have to work a day again, but I still have to manage my money well and do things to preserve it. So but having 700, 800 million in the bank, $1 billion in the bank, yes, there are ways you could spend that much pretty easily. But I feel like it would be hard for the average person to blow through $1 billion and not get bored of spending money.
I don't think it's possible. I don't think you could spend $1 billion. I don't believe you could.
I think over the course of 10 years you could if you have 4 beach houses and
okay, so you're
buying cars and shit. I would say
probably if they didn't invest any of it, if you just simply take $1 billion, have it in your checking account and don't invest any of it, I would say it's a maybe.
Maybe 10 years.
Maybe. But
100 million
even
a year
if you put 100, let's say you put 100 million away, I think you would even.
If you put 100 million into a bonds account paying out 7% interest, that's $7 million a year to live off of.
Yeah, it's an unworldly amount of money.
Yeah,
and I think the only way that I would find some sort of happiness in that type of life would to be starting some sort of business,
Helping
and
other
trying
people.
to run either multiple, like starting multiple businesses, starting some businesses to try and run them myself from the ground up, because I feel like that would allow me to have some sort of pursuit.
Some sort of pursuit, and it takes away the stress of it almost, because if you burn a company into the ground, you just fucking go start another one. When you got that much expendable money,
That is also true.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
You know, when there's a big difference that from somebody that has all that money and it's not worried that they're gonna lose it all.
Yeah, they're
because they
doing
can
it for
just start
fun.
another one. And the difference between someone that has, after starting their business, $7 in their bank account,
Yeah.
and
They're
working-
waiting on that first sale, that
Yep.
first paycheck to hit to keep things going, or they're done.
And relating to the how you said you're not sure who around you is actually there because of you or because of your money.
Yeah.
That just kind of hints at the topic of like how people only praise you when you don't need it. So when you start a business, super, you don't get many people coming in, you're not making that much money.
No one's proud of you.
No one's proud of you.
Yeah.
But then once you hit that certain goal,
Everyone's
you make $1 million.
patting you on the back. Yeah.
Wow, really, really great job. And it's like, where were you when I had $7 in my bank account, sleeping on the gym
On a park
floor?
bench. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that just having that much money, like I said, takes away the pursuit of life. And that's why I think it's the happiness of the pursuit rather than the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah.
Because if you're always trying to pursue something that, or for example, yeah, like if you're going to have all the money in the world, there is nothing else you can really look forward to, looking to get. Like I said, how I want to, grow financially or knowledge based. I just feel like there's no point in doing that when you
have all
have
the money
everything in the world.
Yeah. What's the point of learning more if it's not going to benefit you?
And I mean, I guarantee you, I mean, Elon Musk probably continues to learn. There's people that will continue to learn and do crazy things. Like,
Yeah, but
like
he
them.
also still has things that are driving him to do better. He has SpaceX. He has Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
He built that. He didn't just win the lottery and have 700
Exactly. You're right.
million. His father was rich and helped him start everything, but he still grinded and got to the top by himself.
Mm-hmm.
So he still has the drive to keep going and keep getting better because he has projects that he's been working on for however long. It's hard to, like, you look at like Jeff Bezos too. Jeff Bezos started Amazon in his garage 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what, yes, they still have the drive to do it, but I feel like Jeff Bezos probably doesn't do much anymore for the company.
Yeah,
like he's just
probably. Yeah, I
he's
think
just
there's a
a
difference.
face.
There's definitely a difference between Elon and
Jeff
Jeff
Bezos.
Bezos. He's just like the richest man. I don't know who the richest guy in the world currently is, but he's definitely reached that point in Amazon where he doesn't need to do much.
Yeah.
It's just, he's probably fulfilled for sure. So I think that also leads into happiness.
Yeah, but fulfillment doesn't necessarily mean happiness, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, they can go hand in hand, but I feel like even with that fulfillment of, I did all this, look at how good I am, there can still be an emptiness. Like, I mean, he cheated on his wife of however many years with a supermodel, and I guarantee you he's never going to find a woman that loves him for him again.
Yeah.
Every woman that he encounters in his life is going to want to be with him for his money and only his money.
There's just so many problems, I think, that comes with
Having
having
that
an
much.
absurd amount of money.
Yeah.
One, you don't have like really a will to try and get more. Then the problem with like you're not sure who is really going to be around you for you. And I think that's why, being in the position that I am, not that I'm, we're not wealthy at all. Like, we're just normal dudes just trying to get by, working minimum wage jobs, going to school and stuff.
Yeah.
It's at some point it's like I do constantly think about if I had more than I have, I don't know how it would make me happier. Like, I hit a certain amount of like goal financially and it's like I thought I would be happy here.
It's because you don't, I feel like you don't reward yourself enough in that aspect. Like, yeah, you save all this money, but you don't ever really do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't, you're very frugal. You don't buy things you don't need to, but I think we talked about this last week too. Sometimes you need to reward yourself.
Yeah.
Because, like, yeah, you're like, hey, I'm halfway to saving up what I want to move out, but you haven't seen any reward for saving all that all this time.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't ever said, hey, I'm going to buy this just because I want to. I mean, yeah, you have, but
Yeah.
I feel like you don't reward yourself enough in that aspect.
Yeah, I think for me, for sure.
You hate spending money, and that's why you don't enjoy saving it. You don't enjoy seeing those milestones because you're like, even if when I get to what I want to, I don't want to spend it.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't reap the rewards of it.
Yeah, I do think about when I buy something like, oh, I could have invested it.
Yeah.
Or I could be doing something else with my money. And it's like, that does definitely take out the happiness part of it, because it makes me feel like
You're only putting it into things that will help you later on and things that you need. You're not buying anything that you want.
yeah. I saw this video on TikTok, and it was basically this guy that came up to his friend. It was basically a skit, and he was saying how, hey man, like, you want to go out and do this? And he's like, no man, I'm saving for a certain goal. I can't. And it's like, okay, few years later, jumps a few years later. Hey man, like, we're going on this trip with the boys. Like, do you want to come with? Like, it's gonna be super awesome. Nah man, I have goals. I want to retire early. Blah 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 blah. And then it hits like 20 years later, and the guy finally hit his financial goal, and he's like, dude, yes, like, I'm finally here. Let's go take a trip to wherever. And he's like, man, I can't. Like, I have kids. I have to take care of them. Like, I told you should have done this earlier.
Yeah.
Like, everyone has their things going on now. You
got to live in the moment sometimes. You can't always live in the future. You have to live in the moment sometimes, because you're going to miss out on those opportunities. It's not everyone's around for forever. Not everyone has the time in 10 years to do that that they have now.
That's why I'm trying to say yes to more things that people ask me. Like, for example, I was asked to go to that concert a couple weeks ago, and I was kind of on the edge about it. One, because I didn't want to spend the money to go, but then it was like I went, and it was
enjoyable.
It was enjoyable, and it was like, wow, I didn't think I was going to be this excited about listening to this specific song. Like, that guy played one specific song for us that I didn't think was going to get played, and the amount of dopamine I had was insane. I was like,
live music
that
is
3 minutes, that 3 minute song.
Was it your ice bath song?
No, it wasn't. Maybe I played it at one time, but that 3 minute song literally was like, yep, that was worth the $50 that I spent.
Exactly. Live music is, I mean, you see how many concerts I go to. I've probably been to, between music festivals and concerts, I've probably seen at least 50 to 100 artists live, and I've probably been to like 5 or 6 music festivals. I've been to at least 5, maybe closer to 10 music festivals. I've been to probably 40 or 50 concerts over the course of my life. And live music is one of those things where it's like, reward yourself with that, because it's going to make you happy, and it'll motivate you to say, hey, I'm going to work harder because you hit your dopamine levels, you hit your serotonin levels, and you need those things in life, or I feel like you'll fall into a pit of despair. Like, all work and no play makes Jack a sad boy.
Never heard that before.
Really?
No.
Oh, that's another one of those old ones that apparently I'm the only 23-year-old that says. Like, horses and hand grenades, horseshoes and hand grenades.
So would you say that happiness really stems from...
Happiness stems from the experiences, in some aspects. Like you look at, like, a homeless man with his dog, for example. As long as he may not have a house, he may not have a car, he may not have a job, he may be on the street begging for money every day. But if he makes enough money that day to feed himself and his dog, he's happy and his dog's happy. That's all they need. So there's definitely a spectrum on happiness, I feel like, but a lot of it comes from the experiences and who you surround yourself with.
Because for sure with whoever you surround yourself with, because it's like, if you see all these people, I mean, it's not even just simply surround yourself with, because obviously your friends can have a huge impact on it, but social media and stuff can really
That's-
alter your view of like what happiness really is.
Yeah.
You would know when in reality it's like, okay, they're posting all these good stuff, but
You don't see the negatives in their life.
yeah, I know we talked about that
Yeah,
before. and
competitive
it's-
happiness. Like,
Yeah.
you cannot look at fucking. Why I can't think of any fitness influencers' names right now.
Sush.
Yeah, you can't look at Sush and say he's bigger than me. I'm not happy with myself because you're still fucking huge. You still look good. You've done well for yourself physically. You work hard in the gym every day. You can't look at that man that's been working out for 5 years longer than you and say, I don't look like him. I'm not happy. Because you should be happy with where you're at, and you should look at him as inspiration instead of jealousy.
Yeah, it's like comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
I think that really is a major part of happiness, because if you're constantly comparing yourself to these rich people, the one percenters and stuff, then if your happiness is truly set because of comparison to other people, I don't think you'll ever be happy. So I think it's really trying to figure out what
makes you happy.
What makes you happy.
Not what you think will make you happy based on what other people are doing. You need to, if you really focus that much on other people and determine your happiness off of that, you need to take a break from social media. You need to delete social media for 6 months. Don't go on Twitter. Don't go on don't go on X. Don't go on Instagram. Don't go on Snapchat. Don't go on Facebook. Don't go on any social media for 6 months and see how much your life improves.
And that's I think there's a book, and it's Don't Believe Everything You Think. Because obviously it's like your brain is thinking a certain thing, but you don't have to believe that.
Yeah.
Like you might look at yourself in the mirror. Obviously body dysmorphia is like a big thing when it comes to like people going to the gym.
Yeah.
You don't have to believe that your arms are small or your calves are small. My calves are small. But I do think mindset is a huge factor when it comes to trying to find happiness and what actually makes you thrive in life.
And you have to learn to not care. Like, there's a lot you should care about, but you shouldn't care about what other people think about you. You should, if you want to go to a concert and dance like a fucking idiot, do it. Don't care about what the people around you are gonna think or say to you. Just go do it because it makes you fucking happy. Like, you never know. Fucking, you could be dancing like a fucking idiot, and then 4 other people come over and join, and then all of a sudden half the crowd is dancing with you. So you determine your own happiness, and if you let things make you unhappy, that's your own fault, no one else's. You just have to learn to not care.
I think not caring is such a huge part of it, because not caring, and then another question that I kind of just thought of is what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? So it's like, if you knew you weren't going to fail on something, you didn't have anxiety about failing on something, you would go do it.
Yeah, 100%.
No matter what the consequence was.
No questions asked, you're there.
But once you get that consequence and it's like, oh, I might fail, I might, that leads into your mindset of like, oh, I'm going to die because I fail. Or I'm not going to be happy because I went and tried something that I thought would work out and then it didn't work out.
Yeah.
So I think really trying to put your mindset in like, even if I fail, I can still be happy in the end because I learned from that.
Yeah. Because there's no failure. It's a win or learn.
Win or learn.
Win or learn.
Yes. Win or learn.
Yeah. And you have to look at life like that. You can't say, if I fail, I'm going to be upset. You have to look at it as a lesson and be happy that you learned from your mistake. Because you'll never learn anything if you don't make mistakes.
I think if obviously I'm not fully fulfilled or not exactly 100% happy, but I think if there's like 3 things I could give to someone and to help them find happiness is, one is like truly be yourself no matter what. Branching off of what you said, number 2 would probably be don't care what other people think about you.
Yeah.
And then 3, probably find something that you want to continuously work towards, because then you always have a goal, and set smaller goals for yourself, because I think once you hit those smaller goals and keep rewarding yourself, eventually you will continue to be happy over time.
Yeah, I mean, like I said a minute ago with the money, you have to have those little goals, because all work and no play makes Johnny. It's a dull boy, not a sad boy, but it's the same difference.
Yeah.
If you don't ever reward yourself, you're gonna burn out and you're gonna be unhappy no matter what. If you work, and you don't set little goals aside the big goals and meet those little goals and reward yourself for those little goals to show that you're on the path to the big goals, the happiness is going to dwindle, and the drive and the motivation and the we talked about it last week. What's the word? Discipline. And the discipline's going to fade.
Yeah.
So you have to have those little wins, those little rewards.
I can relate to that because of everything I was trying to do all at once.
Yeah.
And I think after doing that for so long, you kind of just expect yourself to do so much that when someone's like, wow, you're really doing so much, like, how do you do all that? You're just like, you're kind of immune to it. So like when someone tells you you're so good at this or so good at that, or like your hard work is really paying off or whatever, you can't really fully accept it because you've built this mindset that it's never enough.
I wrote about that. It's called masochistic tendencies, which is excessive self-defeating behavior, a constant need to please others, and the reflexive denial of positive regard. So you're on the denial of positive regard side of it, but that's almost another sign of people pleasing, because it's kind of like when they're praising you, you have your self-esteem's not in the right place for whatever that may be, and you think they're like faking it or whatever it may be, and you don't want to seem better than them, and that's where the people pleasing side comes into it too.
Yeah, I think that's relative to like imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Thinking you're not supposed to be in the position that you're supposed to be. Like, for example, I did relatively well on my coding exam that I didn't think I was going to do well on.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if that stemmed from all the years of thinking I'm not capable of doing a specific either class or whatever, and actually like doing well in it. It's like, wow, I actually did that. But then when someone's like, wow, you actually did a good job, like, congrats. It's like, maybe
I could have done better.
Maybe it was a fluke. Maybe it was just luck.
And you can't think like that, because if you think you always could have done better, you're never going to be happy with what you did.
And I'm trying to accept praise. I really want to learn how to accept praise sometimes.
It's hard.
But I feel like
accepting praise is really hard for me too. I don't like being praised. I do and I don't. Like, I'll accept praise, but there's times where I'm like, I just did what I was supposed to. You don't need to praise me for that.
And that's kind of how I feel with school. It's like you also do set expectations for yourself. So it's like, okay, well, I was supposed to do good. So where's that line? Do you think where do you cut off that line where it's like you expect yourself to do good and then pat yourself on the back for actually performing well or doing well?
Yeah. Because, I mean, if you have that bar set at, let's just use school as an example. If you have that bar set at a 95%, then anything under a 95, you're going to be like, what the hell? I could have done much better than this. What did I do wrong? And you're going to be really pissed off with yourself. If you get a fucking 92%, you get an A- on whatever your assignment is, you're still going to be mad at yourself because you have that bar set at 95% or higher. And then when you hit that 95% to 100%, I feel like there's not as much like pride in it.
Yeah, because if you think about it, let's say your goal was 80%, right?
Then if
you leave that 20% towards improvement. Let's say you score 80 on that test, and then you're like, okay, I just want to hit 80 again or 81.
And then when you hit a 92, you're like, fuck yeah, I did great. Whereas when you have it set at that 95, at that top bar, you hit 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, or 100%, and you're like, I just did what I was supposed to. I'm still not proud of myself.
And I think that relates to celebrating small goals again.
Yeah.
Because having the mindset of you're always getting better no matter what, that's why I think giving yourself room to improve is such an important topic when it comes to being truly happy.
Yeah.
Because, like, for example, we talked about all the money you have. You wouldn't be able to improve much. I mean, obviously you can maybe improve like as a person
You can
or
be
like your surroundings or whatever, but you're not really trying, like there's no reason to improve your mindset or, your bank account. Like getting those small goals shows you the improvement that you're making and allows you to actually enjoy it and realize that you are getting better over time.
I do want to ask, how do you feel, because I feel like it plays a big part, how do you feel your physical health plays into your mental health?
I think it's
I think
huge.
physical health is huge in happiness because going to the gym for the past 2 weeks, I've been just in a better headspace versus the last year that I haven't gone.
I heard this, and it was that physical health, if you have let's say you are having issues with mental health, like being depressed or
You need to get up and move.
or having anxiety, I think before going to the route of taking some sort of medication, I think you really need to focus on your physical health because not only is I mean, unless you go to a gym, it's free. You can go take a walk.
Go for a walk. Go run.
Every
push-ups
time that
and sit-ups in your bedroom.
Exactly. Every time that I, feel kind of like a brain fog, going for a short walk makes me feel so much better. And I think everybody can find some sort of value from going for a walk. Yeah. And, you realize, like, you don't just get that exercise that you're going. You get vitamin D that definitely increases your mood, for sure.
It gives you time to, if you're not, like, listening to music on the walk and you just walk and think. That's another situation where, like I talked about before, a couple podcasts ago or last podcast, with meditation, how I just drive silently in the car sometimes. A walk is another good place to just walk silently and reflect. Think what's going to make me happy? How can I better myself? What do I need to do to be happy?
There was this thing I heard, it was called, I don't remember the scientific term, but it was pretty much like random eye movement when you go on a walk. And supposedly it's super good for people who have anxiety because you're not able to focus on one thing at a time.
You look at
looking around, you're
you.
looking at a bunch of different things. You're getting all these different feelings, and it's like, wow, that anxiety goes away because you're not able to focus on exactly what your anxiety,
you're
anxious about. And I swear I wrote something down, but if I can recall it, it was like the reason you're anxious is because you have, it was the heaviest things in life aren't iron and gold. It's unmade decisions. The reason you have anxiety is because you have things to do and you're not doing them. So that's why I think people have a lot of these thoughts like, oh, I should be doing this or I should be doing that. When it's like, whatever you need to do, just go do it. And I think that will relieve anxiety because...
One day or day one.
One day or day one. Exactly. It's just like getting started and realizing that can go away and that it doesn't have to control you, and finding these small things that can make you just a bit happier. Putting bits and pieces of happiness together will completely change your mindset on different things.
It'll help complete the puzzle of what happiness is to you.
And I think everyone should realize that happiness isn't a set in stone thing, obviously.
It's like different for every person.
Yeah, there's never going to be a time where you're just happy. You can hit a certain amount of money, but there's always going to be something that lacks. Usually, if you focus on one thing, there's always going to be something else that's going to be lacking. But it's the constant pursuit of becoming who you want to be, and I think that really makes
a huge difference.
Yeah, makes you whoever you are brings you that sort of happiness that you want.
But to find that, you need to reflect on who your true self is and who you really want to be, because if you're putting up a facade for yourself and everyone around you, if you're telling yourself that you're someone that you're not, you're never going to find that true happiness because you're lying to yourself.
That resonates with me so well, because I don't know if I've ever spoken about this, but when I won that money for Fortnite, right? Everyone always says, you're so good at the game. Wow, how did you win this money? And I did nothing to win that money. I know. Absolutely nothing. And I'm completely fine with coming out and saying that I didn't do anything to do it, because it relieves like the pressure off my shoulders, because I've been trying to put on this facade that I am good at the game and really good at the game, and I made all this money because of it. But it's like, I made a video on Twitter and they put me on the team, And when I got into the tournament, we didn't even place. We didn't place at all. And just because simply I was put on the lucky, what is it?
The Lucky Llamas.
Lucky Llamas. Just because I was put on that team, I was able to make the money that I
yeah, but you
did.
also at the same time can't sit here and say that you did nothing, because yeah, you may have done nothing in the tournament. You may have been the 100th death, or the first death, 100 out of 100.
Mm-hmm.
But you were still good enough to get looked at to be placed into that tournament. You still had enough good clips. You were still fucking crazy at the game. So you did you may have not done something in that moment to earn that money, but you earned it because of how hard you worked to get to the level of play that you were at to be able to even play in that tournament. If I made back then, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, whenever it was, if I would have made a video on Twitter of my clips, and they would never fucking say, hey, come play for us, because I was shit at the game. So you were still good enough, and you still did enough work that it's unrealized. Like, you think I did nothing because you didn't do well in that tournament, but look at how much time you spent grinding the game and getting better at it to be in the position to be able to do that.
I do agree that, obviously I had to do something to get to where I was.
That $15,000 paid for the 6,000 hours you put into the game before that tournament.
Mm-hmm. I think it was just that I was so busy putting on the persona that I was actually like super good at the game. Like, obviously I was better than the average player, but I walked around like I was top shit. I really did. I had an ego about it, and not only did that set me back in the game, like I would think I was too good to play, I would not play the game at all.
Yeah. And you'd get mad when you died because you thought you were better.
Because I thought I was like, how did I die, or
I
whatever.
shouldn't have gotten killed by that
people
kid.
would ask me to team, and I'd be like, this guy's got no money. They didn't win any money, but like, really, I didn't place well in the tournament, so like I didn't win any money. So why was I, pushing them away? I could have had better opportunities if I was more open to being actually who I was.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so prominent about being who I truly am and not lying to people, because I don't like the feeling of walking around hearing my parents or my family saying like, oh yeah, he's a professional gamer, and I know in my back of the head that I literally did, not nothing, but
in
I haven't
that
placed
moment
well.
you did nothing.
Yeah. So it's like it was really tough on me to constantly say that I was playing in tournaments and then not placing, playing in tournaments,
that's
not
the
placing.
mask.
And yes, it's like every time I put on that mask, it's like, oh, I just didn't play well, or just making people believe that eventually I'll be where I am.
Every person, have you heard the analogy about the 3 masks of every person? I don't know it word for word, but basically they say that every person has 3 masks. You have the mask you show to the world, you have the mask you show to the people you're close to, and then you have your true self as the 3rd mask, but it's just unmasking yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like every person is that way, and that really, really resonates with everything we've been talking about today, because you were wearing one of those masks.
Mm-hmm.
You were saying, hey, even though I don't believe this, I'm still going to let it happen. I'm still going to let people talk good about me and talk me up because I like the way it feels. But that's not how you truly felt, and that wasn't... Mm-hmm. It didn't make you feel good because you were putting up a facade and you put up walls and let people believe things that weren't really you.
I think not only does that putting on facades really affected me in just terms of like mental, it definitely kept me from eating and taking care of myself, and just really coming to mature, like a point of maturity where I like have to step back and be like, okay, this wasn't good for me, or it isn't good for me. I need to make a change.
Yeah.
Because I do think I realized I was truly unhappy. I kept lying to myself every single day that I was going to get on and practice and do well or whatever. And that led to me being super drained. Like I wouldn't want to play Fortnite at all. I wouldn't want to stream. Like it was just so mentally taxing that it really became to the point where I was like, I have to stop, because I was really, really unhappy and mentally messed up.
Yeah.
And I am honestly really proud of myself to actually talk about it. because I don't think anybody has really known how I
How
felt
you
about
really
that
felt about
situation,
it, yeah.
except for Neil. She's the only person I ever really talked about that stuff with, because she's obviously the most comfortable person I'm talking about that stuff with.
Yeah.
But it does make me feel good to talk about it, for the fact that
Because it shows that you're past it.
I want everybody to know that and how I feel about it, because I think it's important for myself to not come clean. It's not like I didn't do anything wrong, but it's just like,
It gets it off your chest and shows how you really felt about it,
Mm-hmm.
because you were hiding that away behind a mask for so long.
there was this one situation I had. I don't remember what year it was, but I mean, it's kind of like a stigma with playing video games anyways. We went to like Mariano's or something, and this lady talked. We were talking to this lady, and she asked what I did. And I was like, oh, I'm a professional gamer. Like, I make money playing video games. And she's like, really? Like, really scolded me for it. And that goes along with not giving a shit what people think about you. Because obviously, like, if I thought about it that way, I'd be like, okay, what her opinion doesn't matter. I'm doing what I want to do. And I think it's just so important to, one, realize like who you truly are and what you actually believe in. Because if you're going to believe that somebody off the street's going to tell you that whatever you're doing isn't worth it or whatever, your happiness is going to be diminishing every time you hear that, because you're just going to constantly not believe in yourself that you can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And that specific moment really stuck in my head, because I was like, maybe I should listen to her. Like, that one specific moment, I was like, maybe I should listen to her, because I'm already lying to all these other people about making money and stuff. Maybe I should just give up on what I want to do, or what I think I want to do,
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I do really feel like you really have to not lie to yourself and accept who you truly are before you can be truly happy. Because, I mean, I wrote another thing down from an article. It says, consider this. Our entire lives, we are programmed, so to speak, with the idea that we are not enough. Why? Because when you believe you don't have a good enough face, you'll spend more money on makeup. When you believe your body is ugly or strange, you'll spend money on diet products, on plastic surgery, on clothing, on personal trainers. When you believe that celebrities have a better life than you, you will waste your life and spend your resources trying to achieve what they have through material and media consumption. And that is more prominent now than ever because of the age of social media. And I feel like if you don't accept who your true self is, you're going to fall into this cycle of social media programming and thinking you always need something more to be better, when in reality you just need to be yourself. Because if you're constantly stuck in this loop of Kylie Jenner looks better than me, I need to buy her makeup to look better, or this person is more fit than me, so I need to buy all their products to get big. And if you fall into that cycle of consumerism, you're never going to be happy with yourself, because you always think there's someone doing better than me. I need to do whatever they're doing to reach their level.
It's crazy how much social media really does have a big difference or a big impact on, I would say, everybody in the world. I really don't think there's a single person in the world that, I mean, okay, maybe a single person in the world, but that social media isn't affecting, because not only do they put on like these fake personas of like, oh, buy this and you'll become the person who you want to be. It just changes your complete mindset of like what really is real.
Yeah. And that's even scarier now with AI. You really don't know what's real and what's fake anymore.
It's I want to get into learning AI, because especially being in like data and like coding, people are definitely scared that it's going to take people's jobs. But I think if you are simply looking at, oh, it's me versus the AI, instead of being like, oh, I want to use this AI to help me progress and wherever, you're obviously going to have a different route of like how everything's going to work. But then again, it just goes back to mindset, like having a good mindset, positive mindset, that you're going to be able to get through those tough situations where AI might take over at some point, and realizing realistically, you might not be able to do anything about it.
Yeah.
And like that honestly leads into how many jobs is AI going to, take over in the workplace eventually?
See, that's a hard topic to reach on because yes, while AI could replace hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of people in their jobs, I feel like that could never truly happen because it would completely crush the economy.
Yeah, there's so many jobs that you just seem like you can't have an AI work for.
Sometimes you need a sentient being to do these jobs, and at the same time, if you cut 1 million people out of a job and replace them with AI, what are those people going to go do for work?
Yeah.
And then if they can't find work, they're not going to be spending their money on whatever they would be spending money on before.
So the economy is going to crash.
Yeah, everything trickles down.
So that actually leads into another question, kind of veering away from AI, but how much of an impact do you think happiness has on the workplace itself?
I think it plays a huge role. I think if you're not happy at work and you can't enjoy what you're doing, you're going to be miserable. And you have to... I don't even think you need to be happy with what you're doing, but you need to be content at least. You can't hate your job.
So what do you think being happy at work means? Like, what do you think, what is your definition of being happy at work?
You don't wake up every day dreading going into work. You can be excited to go to work sometimes. You enjoy the people around you. You enjoy your coworkers, or for the most part. You feel fulfilled at work. You're not just doing it to get by. Like the current job we have now, it's not fulfilling whatsoever. I love the people there. I like talking to customers. There's a lot of aspects I enjoy of it, but there's a lot of aspects that I don't, and I'm not truly happy being there. And that has driven me to a point of burnout where I don't care as much anymore, and there's times where I don't produce like I should because I'm not happy in the position anymore.
So what point do you think that, obviously there's factors that go into happiness at work. What do you think are the most important factors that go into it? So let's say you hate the job, but you like the people. In our situation, at what point do you think that's enough to say, I'm going to leave?
Honestly, I think it would take one really bad day where everything goes wrong for me to be like, I'm done. I'm putting in my 2 weeks. Like I don't know. That's a very walking the line question, because I could put in a 2 weeks right now if I had. I think the line is honestly drawn on when I find something better. Like if I could find something better right now, I would leave right now. But I don't have anything better lined up at the moment, so even though I'm not happy, I still kind of have to stay for the moment in time at least.
So what is your opinion on someone that solely works at a job because they're using that as an income to do what they want to do? So they might not be happy at work, but they're happy with the money that they're making to be able to do what they want to do.
That is... Do you say doing what they want to do in the aspect of like going out, having fun, hobbies?
Yeah, just, buying stuff.
I think that's a great thing to live by, especially in the aspect of like you use your 9 to 5 to fund your 5 to 9, if you've ever heard someone say that before. So you could use your 9 to 5 to fund your side hustle until it becomes profitable enough that it can be a job, until you can start your business and be your own boss. And I think that's very viable, and that's a good thing to work towards. Like I definitely don't want to work under someone, whoever it may be, for my whole life. Not. I want to work for myself. I want to be able to work from home and make my own money and not be on a payroll. I want to see and reap the rewards of my hard work and say, hey, I made an extra $20,000 this month because I really put in the effort and I really worked. Whereas if you're working on a payroll for someone, no matter how fucking hard you work at work that day, you're getting paid the same hourly, right? You're going to make the same amount of money no matter what you do. And that's where I feel like a lot of the burnout comes in, because I worked fucking, you remember last year, 2 years ago.
60 hours?
Yeah, I worked like 4 65-hour weeks in a row. And yeah, I was driven to do that because I was making
Hell of money.
an extra paycheck's worth of money every paycheck. Like my paychecks were doubling because I was working 40 hours of regular time and then another 25 of time and a half, which adds up to another 40 hours. So in 2 weeks of work, I was getting paid for 100, like I'd work 65 hours. That's 130 on paper, but it comes out to like 170 hours in time and a half. So I'm making a month's worth of work in 2 weeks.
So how much happier do you think you were with when you got all that money, like the extra money?
It was nice, but at the same time, it sucked because I had no free time during. I'd get up and go to work at like, we had the unlimited overtime, unlimited labor, so I'd get up whenever I woke up and just go to work. Because it was before Illinois implemented the 7-day rule too, so anytime they needed any help, they'd be like, Tommy, come in. And there was days I worked from 5 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. I went home, went to sleep, and was back at work at 9:30 a.m. the next day to work until 9:30 p.m. And yes, my paychecks were huge, but I wasn't doing anything with that money. I didn't have time to go spend it because I was working all day, every day.
And I think that's the problem with what I've seen recently with the problem with, of course, hourly jobs is like the amount I feel like you can learn in a 6-hour period is more fulfilling than you would if you went and worked a 6-hour job, like a 6-hour paid job. Like I feel like how much more could I get done if I wasn't working here than I was if I was just, trying to do my own thing. And that's when it obviously becomes like, how happy are you within your workplace, or how fulfilled are you in general? Because obviously if you are looking for an out, there's obviously something wrong. Yeah. And that actually leads me into like happiness within the workplace. It leads me into this thing that I read about. It's called the Lazada line. And it's the number for it is 2.9013. And it's the amount of positive interactions to negative interactions to
neutral.
No, for the amount of positive interactions to negative interactions that causes for a successful team. So like, for example, your manager says 8 negative things without saying 1 positive thing. Your Lazada line is going to be negative. Yeah. So your team's never going to be at happy. The potential that they could be if you were at least hitting that 3 positive to negative line.
Hey, you didn't do this, but good job on this, this, and this. That's going to keep you ahead.
Exactly. And I think that's a huge factor when it comes to being happy within the workplace, is knowing that, yes, you may not be doing exactly what you want to do right now, but the people that are around you and you're working for or whatever do appreciate the work that you're doing. And that's why I want to try and spread a little bit more positivity, because I know no one wants to be in the position that we're in, working what we're doing. Yeah. So it's like trying to be as positive as possible when we're there. Well, one, make the time go by, I think, a little bit faster, and we'll make others at least feel like it's worth being there.
See, my biggest thing at work is trying to make sure everyone's in a good mood, because that, like, just in a good mood and happy, because that makes the day go by quicker and easier. And I do feel like it's very, very important to be somewhat happy at work, because the one thing in this world that is no matter what irreplaceable is time. So if you're wasting your time at work unhappy, why are you there? Go find another job. Go do something you're going to enjoy doing, because you will never get that time back that you spent moping at that job that you hated.
Exactly. And I'm honestly super kind of conflicted about it, because obviously my school is being covered for working where we're working. Yeah. But I also am really on the edge of just like, do I want to try and find something more fulfilling? But then the other
there's
question
also the fear of stepping out of your comfort zone, and I'm comfortable now. If I go try to find something else, am I still going to be as comfortable as I am? Am I going to like it less than I do here?
Yeah, it's back to that, is the grass going to be greener on the other side? Yeah. So it's the fear of, one, simply leaving because you're going to be in an uncomfortable situation, and then the other side where it's like, if I do leave, it could be worse. Yeah. So it's like really when you're deciding like a situation like this, I think you really have to decide if it's worth
does the
either
reward outweigh the
situation.
risks?
Yeah, exactly. And
but you also, if you want to truly be happy, I feel like you have to take those risks. You can't. You may be comfortable, but you won't truly be happy until you step outside your comfort zone and do things that you're scared of doing and push yourself to be better.
And that relates to me because it's like, I do kind of think I'm going to be happy once I graduate from school, because everyone's always told me, go to school, go to school, go to school. But
it's fulfilling, but I don't think it necessarily would make you happy until you've put it to use. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, you're going to be like, fuck yeah, I got a degree, but the reason I haven't gone to school is because I don't want a pointless fucking piece of paper sitting in my bedroom that I wasted $20,000 or however much it may be on, and then go into a different field because there's not work for me in that field that I studied. Where, right now, do you think your level of self-esteem sits at? Do you think you have high self-esteem? Because it is, like, a big characteristic of people pleasers to have very low self-esteem, and they feel like they're never good enough, and they seek that validation from others because they don't feel good enough about themselves, and that's why they can never say no, because they feel like they're not good enough to say no.
I think my self-esteem now has definitely improved. I don't necessarily think I'm a people pleaser, because I do tell people what they don't want to hear sometimes.
Yeah. And you're okay with saying no. Like, you have no problem if someone says, hey, you want to switch shifts with me? You're like, yeah, no, I'm not going to respond to you.
Yeah. It definitely depends. I'm definitely more blunt in certain situations, but I think I have reached a certain self-esteem where I know either what I'm capable of or what is worth saying yes or no to.
Yeah.
So it also has come with like confidence level where I know where I can kind of use one, like who I look like or what I look like.
Yeah.
To not power over people, but to show that I'm not going to like just give in to you.
Yeah.
But then again, there is times where, you know, with certain people, it's kind of like, I do not want to upset you, or I don't want to say something that might.
Another point that I was thinking about a lot is, are you okay with being a people pleaser for some people? Like, the question I actually had written down was, do you think it's okay to never say no to certain people? Like your significant other or
no, I don't think that's okay.
But there's levels to it, I feel like.
Yes.
Though. Like, you may do more for this person versus that person.
Definitely. But never saying no is definitely
that's
probably
toxic.
not. Yeah. Because
if you can never say no, that's not a relationship, whatever it may be, you should be in.
That actually leads into another topic that I've heard about. It's called toxic compassion.
Yeah.
So it's simply not saying what you think you should say because you know that person will get their feelings hurt because of it. So it's like lying to someone that they look really good, but in reality, you know that they don't. But you're saying that because you want to make them feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
Or it's like telling someone like, oh, you don't need to go do this. You'll be fine without. It's like telling someone that smokes.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, you don't need to stop smoking. Like, you'll be okay. When in reality, the truth would help them in the long term, but
you don't want to hurt their feelings.
Exactly. You don't want to hurt them in the short term.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I feel like that's a whole different topic we can talk about in terms of like, you know, influencing like the people around you, or like using certain like tricks to, you know, get people to either like you or influence others.
Yeah. Maybe
we should talk about that.
Yeah.
That would be a good idea, I think, to talk about that, and like maybe the next episode, see what we can come up with.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think our conversation has been very good this time. I think this was probably the longest one. I actually don't really remember. I'd have to look here, but
it was about the longest, and I feel like it would have been longer if we didn't have the technical difficulties with the cameras.
Yeah.
Fucking Apple storage space. God damn it.
iCloud storage. Damn it.
We got the voice for you guys, but we lost some of the video, sadly. But yeah, I feel like there's a lot of good points we talked on today to take away from, like only you determine your happiness, no one else can, and you just learning not to care, I feel like applies in a lot of these because we talked about learning not to care with the discipline episode too. And it's just, you got to learn not to care about what other people think, and you got to learn that you have to build your own happiness, and only you are going to make yourself better.
Exactly. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate you.